I'm not a hoarder, I'm a collector. Well, at the moment I'm a hoarder. Let me show you what I've got. Well, speaking of hoarding, my other collection. Bam, check this cooler out. I found this over in the mangroves. This is my newest acquisition. I told myself no more, but then this guy came up. I've been using this as a standing platform in the center of the kayak, and I can stand on it, and that gets me an extra 18 inches almost in height and better visibility, and putting the smack down on the bonefish now that they can't hide. But yeah, somebody custom built this thing, but works great and it's comfortable. I can sit while I'm waiting. All right, let me show you my collection here. Bam. A bunch of spare parts I picked up as well. But let's start from the beginning. So it started off with this guy. This is a 2010 model. It's pretty much been worn through and replaced a lot of stuff. I think I've gone through about 3 or 4 lower end gears, and basically the whole lower end unit except the housing has been replaced because of getting smacked on the flats. Mid unit there I've swapped out, and then this is actually the motor itself. The power head is actually the second power head. The first one I swapped out probably 2016, 2017, after about 3 years. I bought this motor for around $150 broken. The guy had smacked the lower end and had frozen up. I was able to unfreeze it, and then all it needed was a clutch dog to engage the gears in order to start working again. But that's been my total workhorse forever now. And I also, it's the only one, and that's the one I'm going to keep it, is that it uses the old shear pin on the prop instead of a rubber hub. So when I break the shear pin, I could just 5 minutes and I swap out a new pin and I'm back on the road again, and a lot cheaper than buying a new hub every time. But that's my oldie and goodie there. And then this one is my offshore one. I bought that specifically for offshore use, and that is a 2017. It lasted 3.5 years, pretty much perfect. And then I started having problems with the motor, a miss. And then I needed to pull the motor out, separate it from the body, take it out so I can check it. But then I couldn't because the joint between the main shaft and the crankshaft, there's a little coupler there. It had corrosion welded together, and only way to get it apart was basically to rip out the lower end from the upper end by using the winch on my boat and trailer, and just chain it up and then just winch it until it just ripped the guts out through there. And then I had to go split the case, take the whole motor apart, put it back together again before I got that fixed up again. And because I go so far offshore, up to like 20 miles, I lost my confidence in this motor here. I could probably build that confidence up after a while of just keeping going out and out and out, but being 10, 15, 20 miles out, and I'm not gonna like drown out there because kayak's unsinkable, and I've got a paddle, I've got a my Mirage Drive foot pedals, I could take a sail if I wanted to, I got my push pole, so I got a bunch of stuff to get back. But it's still a long trip going 10 to 15 miles by paddle or pedal, so that makes a big difference in the comfort level. So I wanted to go ahead and replace this one, and that takes us to the front row. So this is a brand new 2022. This is the DF 2.5 S4, the newest release. I went ahead and just pulled the trigger on it because they went from a 3-year warranty to a 5-year warranty. I think last year, 2001, they started doing that. And I was like, oh shoot, because that one over there lasted 3.5 years on a 3-year warranty, and that screwed me. But this one goes for 5 years, and then that'll make me confidence level that if I have any major problems, I could take it to a dealership and says, fix it or give me a new one. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger. The other reason is that during the pandemic, where all anything boater related was just getting wiped out, you couldn't find it, and then getting parts is another issue for my older stuff. these things had gone up to over $1,000. When I bought that one in 2017, I paid $750 for it. And then I was checking, I saw that 5-year warranty change, and then I went and checked prices on it, and these had come down back down to $835. So that was a pretty good deal. Then the site that I got it from had a little $10 off if you sign up there, give you an email. So I did that, brought it down to $825. Then I used my credit card, which is 3% back, so that was $25 off. So I ended up getting it for $800 out the door with free shipping. So bam, brand new baby there. Just got that in. But in the meantime, from the week that I ordered that, then these guys came into play. Bam. Now this is a 2017, and this is actually a 6 horsepower Suzuki, and that's a 2018. And this was a pair that the guy was basically a sailboater, just came back from the Bahamas, and they've been constantly having problems with their kicker motor for their little skiff boat, inflatable. So they ended up buying a brand new 2-stroke, and then when you're on sailboats, space is a premium, so they had these things they've been dragging along the whole time, so he just wanted to dump it off, just get the space, and then I got it for a killer deal. I mean, just a way awesome deal. I mean, it was an awesome deal just for this guy. This guy basically has just been sitting in the water dead. Just general maintenance issue, no big problems. It's just a bunch of small stuff, which is perfect for me because I could fix all that. Great condition, all complete, and I was just going to buy it for a parts motor because it was just totally complete. But for that same price of an excellent deal just for this, he was throwing in this. And what the deal on the Suzuki 6, that's a 2018, is 3-year warranty. But these things have a existing problem with the motors in the exhaust valves, end up freezing up. Basically they gather corrosion, the carbon build up, and then what'll happen is that it'll start growing closer and closer to the exhaust valve. And then if you have them sit for a couple weeks or a month or store it for the season, you bring it back out, that exhaust valve is frozen in place. Then what happens is, for some people, is that you don't know that, and if it's not in a closed position, it might be partially open, they grab that handle, yank on it, and that valve is frozen, and then it just crushes it. So it breaks your bends your valve, it'll bend your push rods, it'll break your rocker arms. So, and it just basically makes that dead useless, and it's an existing problem, but what you're going to do. And then if you don't have the home experience to disassemble motors and reassemble them, you're kind of screwed, because it's not worth it to take it to a dealership and then pay more for the parts and the labor than a brand new unit is. And that's kind of what happened to him. However, for me, I could fix these things, so that's a great deal there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. This one I'm just going to get up and running. I was in the midst of converting my old outboard to an older style, so everything is the old version, getting rid of all the emissions, and then changing out the lower prop to a shear pin style like this one is. And then I would have that as a backup, and this would be my go-to offshore, the brand new one. But I figured with this one here, I'm just going to get it fixed up, and then it could be my spare offshore, or I'll sell one of these two here or use it for parts, but who knows. And then this one, I think what I'm going to do is, as long as the short block part of it, the pistons and the main unit is good, and it's just the head, because I've got a spare head there he threw in, and I could fix it, get it running again. I could either sell it, or I might look to pick up a little skiff or a little inflatable, and then there's so many sailboats around here, I could dump it off as a complete unit pretty cheap, or just sell the motor cheap. Or at worst, I could part it out and make as much as a brand new one would get by just the components, because it's $300 for the lower end, $300 to $500 for the lower end, a couple hundred for the mid, and then the motor parts, and then all the plastics and stuff. I could probably get $400 or $500 used on those, selling them individually, and these things go for $1,000. So very good opportunity, very clean there. So I'll be working on these two here real quick, getting this one up and running spiffy, and then just getting that one running and thinking about what I'm going to do. The other thing I might do is get a small skiff, like a solo skiff or something, build that up, get a trailer, get a complete unit, and then sell that to somebody that wants to get into like the flats and skinny water backcountry boats. But yeah, so I've got that. This guy over here is in between those two. I think that about 2 months ago I ended up buying this, which is just the power head. Very clean unit. It's a 2008 freshwater Minnesota area there. So just pristine condition. I mean, it's just spotless. Still got the paint, still shiny chrome, no rust on it. So I bought that as a spare motor for these guys. In case I had problems with those, I just swap out the head on it and I'm back up and running again while I fix whatever's wrong with those. So I just had that as a spare. And then I had this lower unit I bought probably a year ago, and I've been pulling parts off of that. On my older motor where the prop got stuck to the shaft, I had to bang that out with a hammer and separate that with the winch and on the boat trailer as well. I just ended up pulling out the lower end there and putting it in there. This is, like I said, about the third or fourth time I've had to swap out a lower end, and that's around $200 every time you do that for the gears and then the bearings and so forth, the seals. So that saves me there. Right now it's complete except for that shaft is bent where I had to try to get that prop off, and then just that metal shaft there without any of the components on it is $125. So that's kind of why I'm holding off on getting that up and running. But then I also have this the clamp for the mid unit there. That's my older one, and that's been repaired. I've had the threads pull out on these. The inside plastic sleeve collar is all worn out. It's all rusty, so it just spins, and then when you turn the motor automatically kicks over because of the torque. But I took the one that was off of this because it was brand new and put it on there. So I've been using that one to go onto my flats motor there and keeping it going. But I almost have a complete motor here. This is a older 2007 model because it doesn't have the P-hole for it. It's just plated off. It was before they put the P-holes in. So that matches with this motor. So this is an actual 2007, 2008 version 1 setup there. So if I get the plastic for it, I could have an old school motor there. But otherwise, these parts still work in these brand new motors. So it's a good thing to have those spares. Then over here is not long with that excellent price for these two. He throw in all his spare parts because when you go sailboats, they go international, you can't find parts, and you're out in the middle of nowhere on the water in the middle of nowhere, so you're not going to find parts anywhere. So as well as the motors on an excellent deal, I got all these spare parts thrown in there. I got 2 carburetors, look really good condition there. I think this one's new. This one looks like it's probably been used, but again, if people don't know how to go through and clean them, they end up buying these, and these are $100 a piece. That's a water prop replacement. Got 2 props. This is a brand new one. This one looks like it's spun, and then they tried to fix it by gluing it together, so that one's probably junk. Got 6 spark plugs, brand new there. Those are $5 a piece. That's $30 right there. That's almost getting my money back for what I paid. This is the head unit from the first time he replaced the head because of that exhaust valve. The exhaust valve was in there. It was just wedged in there because it was est, because it jammed up and did what I said about getting pulled together, and I had to hammer it out, and then I snapped off the retainer on the top part. But fortunately that piece is replaceable, so it's like a $10 push in. So I just got to get the thing to push it out and push in a new one, and then I could probably rebuild this head here, and that'll be good to go. So it's not too bad, but because the exhaust right here, you can kind of see the corrosion built in, because this goes right to the saltwater exhaust port. That gets in there, then you have the normal from the exhaust, the crud builds up, and then it builds up on the exhaust there on the inside, and then it freezes it up when it sits for a couple weeks, and then it's motor's locked up. And that is the problem with this one right now. It is locked up, so I got to go through, and I think it's the same, pretty sure it's the same thing. It's the valve is locked up. But I've got all these spare parts for it. New water pump kit for it, brand new. All these plates, gaskets. So right there is way more than what I paid for it in parts already for that whole thing, and got that for free. So that was like smashing deal. And this is the carb and the igniter unit for this motor, because I've been using that to test my problems to see what the issues are with a good one to a bad one, and trying to nail down what the exact issues are. But bam, look at these babies. I don't have a problem. All right, so there you go, my current Suzuki outboard collection, Hoard. I do want to do a shout out and a big thank you to my enablers. That is my Patreon group there, for their support. They're the ones that just basically throw money at me so I can do this kind of stuff, not even think about it. If I have an issue, I just go out and get it fixed, replaced, whatever the issue is. I want to try something new, bam, I can just go out. I've got that pool of money, and it helps me just get the channel better. It helps my fishing. It helps the All About the Bait store. So big shout out to my Patreon supporters for that. But otherwise, I'll be doing a few outboard videos coming up. I've done a break-in before, but I'll do another one since I've got this one, which is just how to break the motors in there pretty quickly there. I'll probably do two videos about repairing these guys. One will be kind of a quickie of just going through the essentials on this one, going through the carbs, do a valve adjustment, eliminating the smog emission stuff on this outboard to make it easier, checking the ignition system, and checking that coupler between the crankshaft and the main shaft. That's the first thing I'm going to do to see what I can do to this motor or not without having to rip it apart. I'm pretty sure it was never pulled off before, and it's the same year as my other one that had that frozen one. And all my prior two motors, or 3 times I've had the motors there, they've all done the same thing. So I have a feeling this one is that same issue, and that's a big headache. But I could work around it. But it's just 4 balls to see if it pops off. If it doesn't, then I have to do all my testing with it still in there before I break down and gut it. And then I'll probably do a video on, well, I'm gonna do one on repairing this one, and then I'm gonna do an all extensive, if your motor doesn't start, if your motor runs bad, these are the things that how you test it, fuel, air, ignition, and how to just detailed go through there, like a 2-hour video, just to help people keeping their motor running or get their motor running better. These little Suzuki 2.5 specifically. And then I'll do a video on the Suzuki 6 horsepower there, if I get it up and running or not, and if I build something to go with it. But anyways, there we go. That is my Hoard. Proud of it. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video. Bye.